to Gary to introduce Betty Lowe.
Well, welcome, Betty. Nice to have you back. Betty, you've done the Shine Awards for a number of years at SMUD, and so everybody's eager to learn about any updates on the program and the schedule on that. So please tell us about the Shine Awards program this time.
Thanks for having me back, Gary. It's my pleasure to be here. Thomas, it's good to see you on virtual. It's always fun to connect with people on this platform, and I love the fact that you're in London now while you're doing this. This is a fantastic new way of working for us. Yes, so our Shine program applications are opening up on June 1st. New this year, we started to host outreach sessions, which is before the application actually opens. And what that does is offers us the opportunity to brainstorm with nonprofits in the region on collaborative ideas, collaborative partners, people who may be interested in looking for partners that they've never connected with before, and also talk about just brainstorming of project deliverables and ideas across our region. So it gives us the opportunity to be really creative and a little bit more transparent with what feels good, sounds good, what could fit well within our funding guidelines. It gives us more opportunity to be creative in that process. And so after June 1st, we will shift directly right back into those webinar sessions where it's more technical assistance. And I'll be walking through the application as part of the webinar, similar to what we did last year. And there's 6 sessions for those. And I'll go through that in our PowerPoint, but wanted to set the stage a little bit where for this session, we get to do a lot of brainstorming and outreach. And then after the application opens, then my role shifts a little bit to more of that technical assistance piece. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go through a short PowerPoint. We'll set the stage up for the Shine program, and then we'll take the PowerPoint off and have an opportunity to just kind of brainstorm and kick ideas back and forth, and happy to answer any questions that may come up. Feel free to pop those into the chat as we go, and when I'm done with the PowerPoint, we'll come back to those. All right, here we go. All right, you should be seeing my fun little PowerPoint here. Great. All right, here we are today. And so the Shine program and the funding opportunities fits into our Sustainable Communities department at SMUD. And some people like to know why sustainable communities, what is sustainable communities as a team? And this gives just a little background on how the team of sustainable communities came to pass, really what our focus is, how we're derived around supporting our under-resourced communities, making sure that there are livable wage employment opportunities, training opportunities. Affordable housing has been a hot topic of recent, especially within the pandemic time. And as we're coming out of it, we know that affordable housing and opportunities to be creative around that is really important. We want to talk about transportation and connectivity consistently and elevate that to knowing that there are gaps in public transportation and electric transportation, and around transportation and connectivity. We have room to grow. We have room to support our community that don't have equal access to that, or equitable access to that. Healthcare access will always be a hot topic in our region, and making sure that all of our community has accessibility to healthcare and healthcare opportunities. Working towards economic development, nutrition, educational opportunities, always a pillar within SMUD, and definitely within sustainable communities as a focus. The pandemic has highlighted our gaps in where digital access is, and so opportunities to support our community in understanding where digital access gaps are and how we can bridge those gaps, or we can provide resources and services within those gaps so that our community is more and better digitally accessible, and then improving those skills around digital literacy, right? Creating opportunities for our folks who are coming out of incarceration, who are transitioning back into our community through various different incarceration, may or may not have had opportunity for digital literacy. And so there are multiple programs that have found really successful ways to do that for our community, and supporting them to continue to have access to that is important. And healthy environments in general, when we talk about our AQI, when we talk about our heat index, we talk about our tree canopy in the region, those things are critically important as we're moving towards a day today that's 100 degrees and 102 tomorrow, right? We see the specific effects of the lack of our ability to have healthy tree canopy in our region. So we're trying to offer opportunities and creativities to affect healthy environments within our sustainable community funding with support, as well as collaborations and direct services that are happening out in our community. Our regional air quality is definitely a serious concern. We're moving towards our zero carbon plan, our 8-year sprint, as we call it, as we get to 2030. Some of the things that you see on the screen that has really kind of brought that to our attention. Nobody ever likes to have an F as a grade. And so our region, unfortunately, with the way it sits in a valley, how it's surrounded by our beautiful Sierras, and the opportunity to improve our air quality as part of living in a valley, at the top of a valley, is really important as we move through, knowing that Interstate 5 and Highway 99 are getting more congested. It continues to be a major thoroughfare for our transportation hubs as they are moving goods up and down through our West Coast. That creates a lot of carbon emissions in our area. It creates a lot of sitting air, right? So as much as we love our Delta breeze, we wish we could have that Delta breeze just a little bit more to help us breeze through and push out the negative air we have and improve that just a little bit. I think the biggest statistic on this slide that brings us a lot of attention is the childhood asthma rate. 22% higher than the national average is incredibly high. And we can only guess and know that there's probably stats out there for our seniors that also are dealing with asthma as part of their health concerns. And we know we'll have some stats that looks at our senior care, and our senior asthma rates are probably close, if not at the same, higher than the national average. And so it's important we look at our most vulnerable communities when we look at children and when we look at our seniors, and we rely on everybody in between those two categories, right? Our children and our seniors to really work towards how we can mitigate, how we can improve, how we can intervene, how we can change our air quality in our region for all of our communities. We're here specifically to talk about SHINE, a program that I've been involved in the last 2 years. Really proud of our program and excited to share it every year we come up to this timeline. Some of the things that we've changed this year, and one of the things we want to really highlight and encourage all of our nonprofits in the region, any incorporated nonprofit in our region is eligible to apply for a SHINE award. Funding and implementation is similar to how it's been in the past. It is designed for 1 calendar year. So we are looking at funding for 2023. So we're asking you to forecast the future a little bit, right? Whereas we sit here in the end of May of 2022, application processes will be open June 1st. Will be open for 8 weeks. We're asking you to forecast the future a little bit of what do you want to do in 2023, knowing that the funding and implementation plan will need to happen in that calendar year. We still have 3 levels of funding. The Spark Award, 10,000 and less, our middle level, Amplifier Award, and then our bigger awards, Transformer, which are over 50,000 but under the 100,000 mark. Those have stayed the same. What has changed is our match funding requirement. New for this year, we've been able to reduce our match fund requirement, which should open up the opportunity for more nonprofits to look at their ability to apply for an award. The Spark Award this year is a 25% match, down from the 50% match of last year. And you'll see the math that's listed there for just ease of ability to look at what that means. The Amplifier Award is now at 50% instead of 100%. We see the trend that most of our direct service, support service, project delivery happens in this Amplifier Award, in this mid-level range, which is between $10,001 and under 50,000, or 50,000 and under. So if you're looking for a $25,000 award, the match is now only 50%. It's a significant change. So we're hoping that will open up the opportunity for more nonprofits that are doing the good work in our community to apply and get additional support for either expansion, piloting a best practice somewhere else in our region, creating opportunities to be more inclusive, whether it's with language capacity, with print material, additional outreaches to our underserved community, under-resourced communities in the region. We know there are many, many best practices out there, and there are also lots of creativity for ingenuity and entrepreneurship. And we're hoping that by reducing the match in these two levels, it'll create more opportunity for those to engage with us. Our Transformer Award is still at the 1-for-1 match, 100% match. So if you're looking for an award over $50,001 up to the $100,000 maximum, we are still asking for a 1-to-1 match. So if you're looking for a $75,000 award, then we're asking for a $75,000 match from the nonprofit, the lead nonprofit. Match funds can be broken down in two specific ways. We are looking for a cap of your in-kind to be 50%. That doesn't mean it has to be 50%, but that is the maximum of in-kind that you can write in the budget to be at 50%. It can be less, but it cannot be more. So the combination between cash and in-kind is broken down within your match funding. So for the Spark and the Amplifier, that significantly shifts what needs to be available on hand for cash. And one of the recommendations and one of the reasons why we request that is because our public funds that come through to support the SHINE funds distribution is what we call public good dollars. In public good dollars, we do not pay for labor, and we do not pay for staff costs. Because with public good dollars, if you were to allocate any of the SHINE funds to construction labor, or for staff costs, we would require you to pay prevailing cost, right, of those wages and of that labor for your contractor. Oftentimes with our nonprofits, you'll have very generous offers from contractors who will cut their labor costs in half or even maybe donate their labor costs as a whole, right? And so if you attach the public good dollars coming from SHINE to that labor cost, you would need to pay them that prevailing cost. So that doesn't help if you have a very generous contractor that is only charging you 25% of their labor cost or 50% of their labor cost. So you want to take advantage of that. And so we'll pay for materials, we'll pay for equipment, we'll pay for hard costs, we'll pay for materials, wiring, conduit, HVAC systems as, hard physical equipment costs is where that is best to align where these dollars go to. Our overarching focus and priority funding. This slide gives you a really clean version of what that looks like and how specific we are around where our directors are. The 2030 Clean Energy Vision is top of mind, right? And will continue to be as we move forward. The diversity, equity, and inclusion is very important to us as far as being able to reach out to the most under-resourced parts of our community and in being inclusive and addressing their needs. The collaboration and community impact will also be very important as part of the application process. We want to know that there are opportunities to collaborate with our community partners within regions and within specific deliverables. There are lots of nonprofit partners that can complement each other's support and services. And the more complementary and collaborative we can be for that larger community impact will lend well to an application process. So the funding evaluation metrics are below, very similar to what we've talked about in the past. Neighborhood revitalization is kind of the core of how SHINE started 5 years ago. That will never go away. That will always be a part of our value system and important for us to want to continue to support. So that stays on there forever. The Clean Energy Zero Carbon Plan, top of mind right now, right? So education, especially within our community around STEM, and the workforce development that aligns really well with building our next generation of workforce. Those things have been priorities in the past and will continue to be priorities moving forward. This slide just shows a little differently a little bit of the previous slide of our sustainable community metrics and the category alignment that's available. These are the 6 categories that we use internally when we think about where funds are being distributed and how we want to impact our community. And it helps us align our impact and our service and support delivery to metrics that we want to move the needle on, right? We're working really hard on finding baselines for all 6 of these priority areas because we got to know where we are now, and we have some of that from previous years, right? It's part of the Brookings Institute that brought us forward to where we are today about knowing where our gaps are, knowing where we haven't progressed enough from 2016 to 2020 that was part of the impetus of why sustainable communities came to be, and then really focusing in on these 6 pillars of service, these 6 metrics categories. You'll see your fit, right? As you design your program, as you think about, where does my impact land, it should land in one of these 6 categories. And using these as kind of your guideposts will help you develop and design and then also evaluate any project you put forward. Our Sustainable Communities Resource Map that's on our SMUD page is still available. It's being updated and has been continually updated. That's a really great resource for findings and for data metrics that we'll want you to use and share as part of your application. The program guidelines are updated on the website for SMUD, and then there will be a link to the application come June 1st on the website, and then we'll broadly share that in an email as well, so that you have a direct link to the what used to be SurveyMonkey that then went to Survey Apply, that is now bought out by Momentive. So it's called the Momentive platform, but most of us still call it SurveyMonkey. So as a frame of reference, so that's the platform our application is on. The projected timeline as we're moving forward, August 1st is the new deadline for this year. We thought we'd be kind and give you the extra Monday since July 31st lands on a Sunday. It's always rough to have a deadline on a Sunday. So we pushed out an extra day, gave you that extra Monday on August 1st. The system is automated. It will open automatically June 1st at midnight, 12 a.m. and it will close automatically on August 1st at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So encourage you to not wait until 4:50 to upload your application, or 4:55. Oftentimes the system will get overloaded trying to upload and submit all applications. And if you're in that process of submission and it turns to 5 p.m. and the system shuts off automatically, your application won't be fully submitted. So don't want to get anybody caught in that little window. So apply early, submit early, complete your application, review it, make sure you go back and hit the submit button after you hit the complete button. And we'll walk through that during the webinars as well. I'll specifically show you there's a complete button and then there's a submit button. So we want to ensure that all of our hard work that we did in getting everything into the application actually gets submitted. You'll see the review as we go. Similar to last year, we take the rest of the 6 months in 2022 to do all of our extensive reviews with multiple review boards. And then we have our executives review as well, and we inform our board of directors. And as soon as our board of directors have been fully informed, then we can start making those announcements with phone calls and emails. And usually those get to be my happy thing to do at the end of the year, likely between December 15th and December 31st. Getting a phone call and making those connections for me has been a really great opportunity to do that. The application webinars are here listed. Again, those links are also available on our website. If you were to go to the Shine website right now, you would see a link for those webinars that you can actually click on and then RSVP. And once you RSVP for any one of these webinars, you will get the meeting invite that you can put on your calendar that will link to those webinars. You're not held to just one webinar. You can come to all 6. If you really want to listen to me and you really want to talk to us about where you are in the process, or if there's something that just doesn't stick or fit for you, you're always welcome to email me directly, but you're also welcome to join us at any 1 or 2 or all of the webinars if you need that information. Or if you want to send different parts of your application team to different webinars, that works too. If not everybody can make it to the same one. So you're working from the same process here. And that's all I have for the PowerPoint. I went through that pretty quickly. So if there are questions, I'm happy to answer those. I'll turn it back to Laura or Gary and let me know.
Well, thanks so much, Betty. That was a great presentation. We love the Shine program and the community here. I'm going to call on Walter Demantov in a minute here because he is one of the awardees, but let me ask a couple of questions. Do you publish the winners when
We do.
you design? Okay.
Yeah,
So they're
everything is on the webpage.
on the
So
web
all of our
page.
winners for the last 5 years are on the website.
So if people want to see the sort of things that have been awarded in the past, they can go there. And then we've
Definitely.
had one question of, do you have to be an organization within SMUD's territory in order to apply? I would imagine the impact of whatever you're proposing has to be within the SMUD territory, but how do you treat applications from outside your region?
Sure, we do have some nonprofits that don't have their home office within the region of Sacramento, but the project deliverable, the project service is in our region. So, we have some nonprofits that live in West Sac, or they may live just outside of Folsom in El Dorado Hills, or maybe out in Roseville, which is not considered SMUD territory, but the service they're providing and their collaborative partners are within our region. So that's how we focus where your deliverable is and where the impact is happening.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're
And
welcome.
Walter, you're an awardee right now with the Northern California Innovation Center. So you're in the performance period of the award that were made earlier this year. We certainly have been encouraging our clean tech startups to get involved in Shine and contribute their time and energy and ideas to that. And you've sort of welcomed any clean tech company in who would like to participate in your program. Tell us a little bit about what your program is that you're executing on right now, if you wouldn't mind.
Gary, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Wonderful. I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan right now, so I assume that I'm far enough away you may not be able to hear me. It's not 102 here. It's about 60. So we are a recipient right now of what we're calling, we're funding the Neighborhood Entrepreneurship Expansion Training Program. And that is for any kind of entrepreneurs either starting a new business or wants to accelerate their business, but that it is done through partnerships with neighborhood organizations. And what it's really focused on is underrepresented entrepreneurs. That may be people of color, maybe women, it may be women of color. And primarily the point is to work together as a community to accelerate the success of these businesses. And we're doing that through either training or one-on-one consulting or a combination of web resources. It's everything from how to begin a business to how to access capital to how to be successful, how to network with other entrepreneurs. We're very interested in any kind of clean technology company to either be involved with this next program or as part of the Northern California Innovation District in general. And right now in our Innovation District, we have 9 companies, both in the United States, Spain, Ireland, who are moving some of their operations here. So expanding our network into clean technology companies is great. If there are companies that are small and nascent and beginning in any of the SMUD wards that we are focusing on, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and even with Betty's nodding right now, saying it's okay for us to move to other wards as well. If there's anybody that you're aware of in Sacramento County who would like to come in and get this free support with the training, with the consulting, with the support for access to capital, please let me know and we can make those connections happen. And we're right now looking for companies to enter into our first cohort. So it'll be a very intensive for 12 companies, very intensive program with support from a wide variety of entrepreneurs.
So do you also go out in the communities and have meetings out there in order to educate and recruit?
Yes, we're actually at that point right now. One of the requirements of our grant is to contact 1,000 individuals. And we're right now developing MOUs. We are at 5 MOUs. And we will be submitting all that information to Betty in our quarterly report. We're actually going to try to aim for an initial group of 12 MOUs with neighborhood organizations. And if we're very lucky, 20 by the end of the year. So this is really a grant about connection and support to these companies that are growing right now. So I'd say it's a balance between helping what's there and then making the connections between these companies who might not be aware of each other or who have common needs, so we can be more effective trainers and consultants.
Well, sign us up right now as Clean Start, Walter. We'll bring our trailer anywhere you tell us to put it.
Well, that's great. We are very, very interested. And in fact, the leadership team spoke about this yesterday. So Gary and Tom, your names came up. So you'll have to fly to Ann Arbor, Michigan, however, to talk about it. I'm only kidding. So yes, we'll get in touch and make that happen.
All right. Well, I've got your phone number, and please, Gary at cleanstart.org. Any way we can help, we'd love to do it. We also recently have put on the website the recruitment video that we've done, trying to explain to people what it's like to commercialize a clever clean tech idea. So I'll send you the info on that as well. But it is on the website. I think it's called, oh, good Lord, now I've forgotten what the name of it is. Laura, you can probably find it and drop it in the chat down there. But that's very helpful, Walter. I appreciate that.
My pleasure completely.
So we look forward to helping you get to that 1,000 level. Very important that we don't leave anybody behind in the whole clean tech revolution. So would love to see if we can help on that. Are there other questions out there? Let's see, there's a question about the link.
So I can answer Laura's question. Laura, you put a question about why no labor. So a couple of things to keep in mind, right? Shine is only for 1 year, 1 calendar year. And it's to pilot something, right? So if you're paying for labor, you can pay for labor if you're already paying prevailing cost, right? So most of the time, if you're paying prevailing costs for your project or for your staffing, then if you want to attach our labor dollars to it, that's an option. But if you're not paying prevailing cost already, public good dollars would mandate that you use prevailing costs. And for a nonprofit, that's not always the most economical way to do that. And because it's also a 1-year project, what are you going to do with that staff after a year of our funding, right? So the hook there is we don't want to set any nonprofit up to use our funding to pay for labor and staffing and then not have the ability to keep them on for more than just that 1 calendar year, right? So we really want our nonprofits to have the ability to have staff to deliver on pieces of things that you could attach these dollars to. So if you're looking at curriculum development, if you're looking at outreach strategies, you're looking at translation and language capacity, cultural competency training, you're paying for a service. You're paying for the deliverable, not so much paying for the labor or staff cost. So it's a semantic, but it's an important semantic of what you can and can't pay for under the public good dollars, and making a nonprofit pay, labor prevailing costs sometimes isn't very helpful to a nonprofit.
Okay, so it could say, for example, the project was a entrepreneurship boot camp targeted at women of color from neighborhoods that are typically underserved. So part of the cost could go towards curriculum development. Is that what I'm hearing? That
Correct.
SMUD would cover. Okay, so curriculum development would be covered. What about the teaching time? The time to teach, like if it was a class and you were teaching it.
So I think, again, then you start getting into, is that labor cost or is that program services, right? So if you already have the staff person developing the curriculum and we're supporting the curriculum development, then likely you already have funds, which we would not supplant for a full-time or part-time staff person, right? There have been programs and partners that we've had who bring in specific consultants for a short period of time for that specific deliverable. So if it's not a full-time staff person that's part of your organization already, and you don't have the capacity to do a workshop in Hmong, and so you're going to hire a consultant for 8 weeks. And within that 8-week period, they're going to translate your materials, do some specific outreach, right? And maybe deliver that curriculum in a specific time frame,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then you're looking at the deliverable being what we're funding, not necessarily the staff of what we're funding. And that's not considered a staff person, right? That's considered a consultant or a contractor.
Okay.
Does that kind of clarify?
Yeah, it
Help?
does.
Does that help? Okay,
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you.
good.
All right. Well, I really appreciate this. The key dates, June 1st to August 1st, you've got 6 webinars that people can listen to.
Yep.
We'll be publishing this along with a short blog. So even if people aren't on the call today, we can get to them. And certainly if anybody else on the call, if you have others that might be interested, direct them to the recording of this webinar. And really pleased to see that SMUD's continuing this. The door is open. And so encourage all of our clean tech companies to participate, even in the smallest way, even if you can just come to a meeting, if you can just talk to a crowd about what opportunities are, that would be really very helpful. And would really like to suggest to people they put a shoulder to the wheel on this. You never know. Make a connection in the neighborhood may lead to a piece of business for you. So let's get out there and help SMUD in what it wants to do. Betty, thanks again. Round of applause from everybody on what you presented this morning. And I'll turn it back to Laura. Oh, absolutely. We love to have you on these programs. We'll get you on as often as you can.
Yeah, I do have an